What is up, New Beginnings Church? Happy Monday morning to you, and we are back. We took a little Christmas break from doing devotions, and I'm so glad that you're joining us, and not even just joining us back for devotions, but really joining us for a 21-day journey as we just lean in. As a matter of fact, yesterday we talked about that really if we want something fresh, that fresh wind in our sails, we need to stay close to Jesus. And so, for this 21 days, that's what we're going to do. We're going to stay as close to Jesus as we possibly can. So this 21-day devotion series will be through the book of Mark, and I don't even think we'll finish in 3 weeks, not even close. We're just going to keep it going as long as it is. And so if you're joining us for the very first time on devotionals, there's a few different ways that we'll do it, but a lot of times we'll just take a book of the Bible, and I'll just go through that book of the Bible, and as soon as something hits me that I feel like I want to share with you, it's as simple as that. And so I want to encourage you, we're going to be going through the book of Mark, and I want you to read it along with me. Start now even. You can just read a chapter a day for 21 days. Mark only has, I think, 16 chapters in it, so you definitely can get through it easily. Take off the weekends if you want, or read it twice, whatever you want to do. But join us for this 21 days as we lean into the person of Jesus, and that's where we're going to begin. Mark chapter 1, verse number 1 sets a very just in-your-face tone to where this book is headed. He does not begin his gospel with any of the Christmas story. He doesn't talk about wise men or King Herod or shepherds or there's no manger here. He goes, we're going right into it. And it says this in verse 1, the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. He comes out and says, I'm not pulling any punches. Let me just tell you real quick. We're talking about Jesus. And I want to pull out just a few ideas here. Number one is he pulls no punches to say, we are talking about Jesus, the Son of God. He gives Jesus his divinity immediately, and then he goes, I'll unpack that later, but you just need to roll with me. We're talking about God in a body, the Son of God. He uses the word Christ, and I think really, really important that we change maybe the way that we think of the name Jesus Christ. I think many of us think that Christ was his last name. Maybe it was Joseph Christ, married a girl named Mary, so she became Mary Christ. They had a kid, and his name was Jesus Christ. That's not at all the case. Actually, Jesus, the Christ, the Messiah, the anointed one, the one sent by God. And so when we think about Jesus, we need to represent or recognize that he is God in a body, but he has been sent by the Father to accomplish something great in the earth. And of course, the third word I want to lean into briefly is that word that I think is the reason why he's been sent, the beginning of the gospel. Again, we've got to change the way our imagination works when we use these words, that Christ literally means the sent one, the anointed one. But gospel, it doesn't refer to a style of music. It literally means news that brings great joy. And I want to encourage you over these next 21 days, I'm going to pump you full of news that brings great joy. It's funny enough, we talk a lot about the news today because the news has evolved to this point in time where there's a 24-hour news cycle. There's multiple news stations competing against one another. They all have different bents and angles and ideologies. And there's a famous phrase we've come up with in the last several years called, it says fake news. That's something you want to avoid. I want to let you know that the Gospel of Mark is not fake news. It is divine news. The other news you try to avoid in life is not just fake news, but bad news. If you ever have a friend that leads in with like, all right, I got good news and bad news. Which one do you want first? It's like, I never want the bad news. I don't want it at all. This is good news. News that brings great joy. And then just even reflecting on that the nature of what Jesus has done is news, right? Like I think a lot of times we think about Christianity and we think about religion in general as rules. Jesus did not come to bring you rules. He brought news that would create in you incredible joy. As a matter of fact, this word gospel is a historical word before it became a Christian word. And even the Caesars of the Roman Empire would send out heralds or evangelists to spread the gospel, the good news of whatever maybe military campaign. Like if one of the Caesars went off to defend the country and defend the nation or take new territory, when the battle was done, they would send out heralds to speak the good news, and the news went something like this. We have won. We have fought. We have won. We have defeated our enemies, and you have been made free. And that, in essence, is very similar to what we would think. We would recognize, you know what? I'm about to read the story of Jesus, that he came. He died. He rose again, conquering sin and death so that I might be free. This is not about what I'm about to do. This is a story of news of what God has done for me. So everybody, let us rejoice today as we begin this journey, just knowing, hey, I got some good news for you. In the regular news that you watch on TV, it's kind of like this. It's always dark and negative and what's bad in the world. I want to let you know I got news. For 21 days, we're going to lean into the person of Christ and receive that news of what he has done for us. Can I get an amen to that? Church, I love you so much. Let's begin this journey strong. Be reading the book of Mark with me, and I will see you tomorrow.